Hey, everybody, this is Patty. Welcome to the Witching Hour. Yes, the hour of the day when the veil is thin and you get magic. We have beautiful magic for you today. She's been on once before, but it's been a really long time, and she's got a new book out. She's an author, she's a ritualist, she's a practicing longtime witch, and the author of this great new book, Spirit Magic. Welcome, Phoenix LeFae. Thank you so much for coming back on.
Hi, thanks for having me again.
Oh, you're welcome. So this just came out this
Yes.
month. So tell us a little bit about Spirit Magic. Let's just jump
Yeah.
right in.
Yeah. So Llewellyn, who published the book, has done a whole elemental series. So there's a book on air magic, fire magic, water magic, and earth magic. And I was honored to be asked to write the fifth installment that from Spirit Magic, that fifth element that's sort of, the ineffable one that's hard to talk about. So yeah, it was an honor and a lot of fun to write this book.
That is cool. Yeah, I was gonna say air easy, water easy, fire easy. You've got the
Yeah,
challenge ahead of you. So, and again,
totally.
a lot of new folks or new people to the craft and to the belief system are here. So, what does spirit mean in simplicity? We have an air,
Yeah.
fire, water, earth, spirit in the care of your book, that fifth
Yeah.
element. How do you,
Yeah.
could you simply explain that to somebody?
Sure. So, in a lot of magical and witchcraft traditions, when we do ritual or ceremony, we might call or invoke those four elements, the building block elements of life, so to say. And those go back to ancient times, earth, air, fire, and water being recognized building blocks of life. And in many traditions, spirit isn't called or invoked during ritual. And in just as many traditions it is, because you ask five witches, you get seven answers, right? But spirit is the thing that binds all the elements together. It's the thing that flows through, it's the thing that connects, it's the thing that is like the animating force of all the other elements. And historically, the fifth element was often referred to as quintessence. That's what like the alchemists called it. And now modern physicists use the term dark matter. That's spirit, right? It's that thing that holds everything together that we really can't explain. And that's how I look at spirit. That's what the book addresses.
So, yes, so that sounds confusing for people already. So, how did one, and I love it. Again, I just love that you got, I could have wrote the other four books. I'm not sure about this one. This would have taken a whole lot of thought. So,
Yeah.
kudos to you. So,
Thanks.
how could somebody, how would people recognize spirit in like daily life or their ritual? Again, to get a
Yeah.
better explanation of it.
Yeah, you know what? I think that the way that you might approach all the other elements is the same way to approach spirit. It's maybe you don't experience spirit like you would fire, right? That you can see a flame, you can feel the energy of the flame, you can connect in with the flame, but there is the animating force behind the flame, and that's the energy of spirit, right? There's the animating force behind me existing and communicating with you. There's the animating force behind the ocean waves, behind everything. And so that spirit, it's like the next step of the elements. It's the bigger connective force of all the other elements. So it feels at the surface complicated, but once you start to dig into it and connect into it, it's really easy. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's all the things. It's all the time. And so it's the easiest to connect to because you kinda don't have to, you already are. You are a spiritual being existing, right? And so it's just taking a moment to acknowledge that. I think that's a lot of what witchcraft is pausing and acknowledging and having gratitude or, experience of these things that are existing around us all the time. And that
You're
it's the
right.
same with spirit.
I like that. Now you have a very rich and varied background,
Yeah.
reclaiming, Wicca, Druidry, a lot of different eclectic approaches. Does spirit seem the same within that, or how are they connected, or
That's a
do
really
they
good
look at them
question.
differently?
Totally, totally. So, my in my early days of practicing witchcraft and my early training was through the reclaiming tradition of witchcraft. And in reclaiming, we always invoke spirit. So we call earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. And spirit in that tradition is center. That's the location of spirit, right? With the other elements, they go to the directional four corners, right? Earth is north, east is air, south is fire, west is water, typically. Other traditions might do it slightly different, but that's pretty typical. But the center of all of that is spirit. The center of all of that, where all those things come together, is spirit. And so that in my early days of training, that is how I was taught that we always call spirit. It's always acknowledged and invoked as the center. And even that is pretty beautiful because like right now, here's my center, right? Like I have a center, and then I'm in this room, and there's a center of this room, and then I'm in a building, and there's a center of that building, right? So there's like center isn't one thing either. So it feels like so paradoxical and magical, right? But in my Wicca training in Gardnerian Wicca, we don't call spirit. We don't acknowledge spirit. We in ritual, we go to each of the four corners and acknowledge each of the elements. And then we come to the center and sort of acknowledge the center of our ritual, but it's not formalized and it's not spoken. So it's a very different way of approaching ritual and ceremony. And as far as spirit goes, it's a very different way of acknowledging that force. So yeah,
Right.
it's totally different, and each tradition, your mileage may vary.
Which is why we like the whole craft anyway. There's no
Yeah,
ABC along the way.
absolutely.
So if somebody's going, okay, how do I experience this? I know you have all sorts of different things within this book.
Yeah.
Do you have like a spell or a ritual or an exercise that can help someone understand that connection or deepen that connection?
Yeah, I am a big believer in experiential witchcraft, so I definitely there's lots of different meditations and exercises. There's even some recipes and like drink recipes and food recipes to work with that energetic of spirit if you want something really tangible to work with. Because I do feel like you get the most awareness, like things will click the most if you have an experiential relationship. Like
Yeah.
reading the book's only going to give you so much information. You got to do the thing to really get it. So yeah, there's a lot of that in there, a lot of hands-on approach to how to connect to spirit as an element.
Oh, that's good. Now, do you suggest practitioners, again, looking at most of those, we have the wheel of the year belief
Yeah.
system. Do you integrate that into your wheel of the year observant?
I do, and there's actually a whole section on the Wheel of the Year, towards the end of the book and how to incorporate spirit in the Wheel of the Year. And there's different deities that write about and share, like how to work with those different deities with spirit as the elemental focus. So I think generally speaking, the other thing that's interesting about spirit is that you can kind of work with anything with spirit as the focus. It's almost like the gateway or the doorway to open a relationship with anything, with an elemental, another elemental, with a god, with an animal spirit, with a plant spirit. It's just a way to uh, give you a focus. It's kind of like a frame on how to work magic in all these other different ways.
I love it. So again, just getting the hint on it. So is there certain deities, if you work with gods and goddesses and deities, that lean more towards being spirit? Or
Yeah,
I mean, no, like in an air compass, everything is air of spirit, water of spirit, fire of spirit, versus an elemental compass where it's air of earth and water of earth in an oversimplification.
yeah,
So are there certain deities that lend them towards being working with spirit, or that's just the spirit of each?
both.
I love it.
Right? Both. So yes, it's the spirit of each. And also I really look at spirit as liminality, right? So gods and deities that are connected to liminal spaces or liminal energies or have connections to more than one realm. Like if we look at the goddess Hecate, for example, Hecate is an ancient Greek goddess that can move between the worlds, right? Not all the gods could do that. She had a special skill that allowed her to move to different realms and to visit the underworld and to be in the human realm. So she has liminal power. That makes her a goddess of spirit because she's able to move between the realms without being hampered by a specific realm, right? If we look at Apollo, for existence, he's the god of the sun. He's a fire deity. He can't go to the underworld. He might not be able to visit all of the realms. He's hampered, kind of. He's still a god, but he's hampered by fire. He has to do what is in the confines of fire. So if we look at those deities that are beyond those confines, that's where we find gods of spirit.
I think that that's beautiful. Now the other books again that are out, and you did the hard one, The Spirit. Uh, yeah, I still because again, it seems abstract.
Yeah.
What are people gonna get out? I mean, I know everything's got to encompass everything, but you have seen
Mm,
other authors work into
I
this book,
did.
correct? So
I
how did
did.
their influence affect that looking into the spirit realm?
Yeah. So, back in the day, in my early days of practicing, I actually spent a year dedicated to working with each element. And this was long before any of these books existed. But when I was doing all the research for this book, I read each of the other elemental books, and I sort of revisited that homework that I did forever ago. And I find it, it's doing a deep dive into an element is profound and powerful and life changing. And so having each of the elemental book writers write a little piece for spirit magic felt important, because spirit, again, is that energy that moves in between and connects all the other elements. Without all five together, you don't have the pinnacle, right? Without all five
Right.
together, you don't have the completion of magic. And so it felt like I couldn't do spirit magic justice without having each of the elements included in some way, shape, or form. And so I was really honored that each of the authors that wrote the other elemental books were willing to do a little piece for it. It just felt like that's what brought it together. That's what
Oh,
made it one cohesive thing. And all of their books are amazing and fantastic, and I highly recommend them.
that's good. Yeah, get the whole
Yeah.
series, dang it.
Yeah.
Library, the whole series.
Yeah.
So again, looking at this is the one that seems abstract though all encompassing.
Yeah.
Um, do you have grounding exercises for people to step into it? Or
Not so
is there
much.
a certain ritual or like one exercises that again, just at that lessen the abstract?
Yeah, not so much grounding exercises, because I feel like spirit is almost the
Ah,
opposite energy of grounding, right? Like grounding is solid and here and permanent, and spirit is more high chakra, connecting into the spirit realms. And I do go pretty deep into drawing down in the book, and also that sometimes that's referred to as aspecting, like sharing your body with deity, sharing your body with gods. And that really feels like an important exercise of spirit, right? Oh, the way we share our bodies with different things, the way that we work almost advanced magic, because drawing down it's more of an advanced magical practice. It's not something to be taken on lightly, but I go pretty deep into um, transpossession and drawing down and aspecting as like a way of connecting with spirit. And also I go into divination and going into the spirit realm, right? Connecting with those realms that are not of our flesh and blood to get answers and to seek wisdom. So there's lots of different ways to connect in with spirit, but I feel like there's little bite-sized pieces in the book, so folks can figure out like what's their best way to do it. Because one size really doesn't fit all. Are you a drawing down witch? Are you a divination witch? Are you a make a cocktail for the summer solstice type of witch? You know what I mean? All of those things are valid. So there's all of those ways of approaching it.
right. I love that. And especially as soon as you said divination, it's like, okay, of all the elements, the one I would want to work with divination would be spirit.
Sure.
Earth, yeah, fire, yeah, water. So that might give some clarity to somebody just going, "What?" I love that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
working it into divination. Ah, so this sort of like completes the story of those other four books. How does spirit again, this concept of spirit, this fifth element, how does it affect us or how does it show in day-to-day life, our mundane life?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like spirit is what keeps us connected to the spiritual. You know what I mean? It's so easy to get in mundane to school, pay the bills, get the cat litter, like all of the things that we have to do, this checklist that we carry around. Have a relationship with the element of spirit, it can help us in our spiritual existence, right? It's a way of remind, not just list checkers. We're not just people who have to go to the day job or people who have to pick up the kids. We're a spiritual being having these. And sometimes just that change of perspective, like, yeah, I have to go to work. Yes, I have to drive the kids to school, but I am not an automaton doing that. I'm a spiritual being doing that. And that can be a really powerful way to kind of shift our mindset. Uh, and to connect to spiritual realms more swiftly and more easily, remembering that even when we do the mundane activities, that doesn't make us less spiritual. I hope that makes sense.
Complete sense. You're very good at this, explaining it. So how did this come about? Like, get your origin story. Were you
Yeah.
born into this way of thinking? Is this something you discovered at a younger age? You've been doing it a long time and you're not that old. So
I'm older than you think. No. Um, yeah, I wasn't raised religious. So in my teen years, I went through some hardship. Like, it's hard being a teenager. And I thought to myself, if only I had religion, maybe this would be easier. Maybe these struggles would be simpler to process. And so I started exploring religion. I went to different churches. I read all the books I could about Buddhism and Hinduism. And I stumbled, this was in the mid 90s, where there was like a little peak in Wicca and writings about Wicca out there in the world. And I found a book about witchcraft, and it talked about the goddess, and it talked about earth worship, and it talked about being connected to the world. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is what I already believe. I didn't know other people were doing this. I didn't know it was called witchcraft. And that was it. I mean, it's over 30 years ago now. So it doesn't feel like it's been that long, but it's I stumbled across a book and found my place, and I'm so grateful that I did. Yeah.
that is actually very similar to my story. Raised without any
Oh,
religion,
yeah.
decided to be a seeker, did the same thing. Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, dip. And
Yep.
then I found the same thing. I think I found Long Beach Women's Spirit and a Scott Cunningham book.
Ah,
Those early days, Scott. This is
yes.
what I already do. So that's amazing.
I love that. Yeah, I think my first was a Raymond Buckland book. Yeah.
Yeah, good. Oh yeah, we all have the Raymond Buckland. That's
Yes.
is our first
Yes.
book. But Scott Cunningham, like there was a grandfather of all to
Oh, yeah,
me
I still
to, to,
recommend Scott
to
Cunningham
make me
books.
understand what that was.
Yeah,
Uh,
beautiful.
is there do you have a specific like a daily practice that you do to tune into spirit, or is there something simple? I know you have lot different rituals and
Mm,
practices and all sorts of things. Is there an example of one that people are going, I still don't quite get it? Is it
yeah.
meditation technique or what?
There's a meditation technique that I do on a daily basis, and I was taught it through the Anderson fairy tradition, the FERI fairy tradition, and it's called a triple soul alignment. And it is just a simple practice of coming into stillness. And in this practice, there's this belief that we have a triple soul, so to speak, and that we have like an animal self, a talking self, and a god self or a goddess self, right? And so in this practice, we just take a moment to breathe and to acknowledge that animal self and send that spirit part of our body a breath of acknowledgement. Like, I see you, I hear you, I acknowledge that you are part of me. And then you repeat that with your talking self or your thinking self, right? Like, I think of sometimes that as the driver of the car, the little guy in my brain. And I just take a moment to breathe and send breath to that spiritual being, acknowledging that I honor that talking part of me. I honor that thinking part of me. I am grateful for that thinking part of me. And then shifting that to my God self, to my goddess self. And again, pausing, holding space for that spiritual part of me and sending breath up to my God source and to say, thank you for this spiritual being. Thank you for being a part of me. Thank you for this day that we share together, right? And it's just a very simple process of breath and acknowledgement, but it's a spiritual acknowledgement of these parts of myself that sometimes are taken for granted. And that's one of the ways that I work with spirit every day. It's very simple, very easy, and it sort of brings me into my body.
That's beautiful. I love that. You guys check it out. Try it.
Yeah.
So again, you've been doing this a while. You're very educated, very connected, experiential wise. What's some of your other books that you did? That you
Yeah.
so let people
I
know more about you.
I ha I have a few books out there. The first book that I wrote what is called What is Remaining with Gods and the Fae and the Ancestors. Um, uh, be- because I do believe that the more we acknowledge of these beings, the easier it is to communicate with them. And so it is a sort of a working how to of connecting with gods, deity, ancestors, and spirits of the land, or what you might consider the Fae. I also have a book called Life Ritualized that I wrote with my partner, Gwion Raven. And that book is all about creating ritual and creating rites of passage and acknowledging how many rites of passage we go through that we don't celebrate and acknowledge. And
Mm.
we both sort of feel that that's like a cultural shortcoming that we have as Western people, especially Americans. We don't have these moments to spiritualize our lives, and there's a disconnect to that in our culture. So our hope was to help people kind of get back to that connection. I have a book called Heretics and Warrior Women, which is a book about how to be a heretic.
Good.
In my opinion, we need more spiritual heretics in the world. And so it's all about connecting to your heretical middle finger to the patriarchy and stepping more into that part of ourselves. And then the book that came out before Spirit Magic is called A Witch's Book to Creating Ritual. And it's all about crafting ritual. I've been practicing public ritual for 20 years. And so I've learned a lot about what works and what doesn't, what to do when things go weird that you weren't expecting, how to stay organized. It's all the woo and the mundane on how to craft a ritual, like remembering to bring a money box if you're charging money at a public ritual, things like that. And also, how do we create sacred space for 100 people? How do we create sacred space for 1,000 people? So it's different ways of crafting ritual. And
Oh,
then
I That's brilliant. Keep going. I wanted
yeah,
to go because that is so needed because people they have their practice, they have their thing, but they don't know how to do public
yeah.
rituals. So that's I
Yeah.
recommend that already, having got it. Okay, I didn't mean to
Yeah. Oh,
interrupt
no,
you.
no, and then Spirit Magic, obviously, that just is officially out tomorrow. But to go
Which
back
is
to
a
your
week
point.
ago from now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But to go back to your point about the crafting ritual, like, it's so easy to do a ritual for yourself because you know what you like and who you are. And if you make a mistake, only you know. Who cares? No big deal. But when you're doing something for a larger audience, even a coven, if you have a coven of 5 people, it's different than a ritual by yourself. And if you do a ritual for 20 people, it's different than 5 people. So, I think that these are skills that you kind of learn trial by fire. And so I was kind of hoping I could share some of my trials by fire so that maybe other people don't have to learn the hard way, right?
Oh, I think that's brilliant. Now let's go back to the Fae for a second.
Yeah.
I think more, not that the Fae have always been there, they've always been part, but to me, that it's almost like there's a focus on it besides oh, everybody's a witch it out. But I think they're actually showing themselves more to people,
Mm,
even non-magical people, maybe
yes.
spiritual people, but not. I remember a pretty famous another TV medium going, I saw a fairy where no, and they're real.
Real.
It's like, yeah, I think that's just because we need our focus back on the earth right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. I agree with you 1000%. And I sort of look at the Fae maybe a little different than other magical practitioners because I do believe that there are Fae, like is described in like Victorian England, right? But I also believe that the Fae and the spirits of the land are related and connected, right? So every place on the earth has spirit beings, Fae beings, land beings, and to use the term "fae" to encompass them all is just easy, right? And some of them are transplanted from people who immigrated here or came here with their belief systems. But like, I'm in California, so I have to speak about the land I live on. There are already fae beings, spirit beings that live on this land, right? And I think that the spirit beings of the land recognize that we're in deep trouble, environmentally. And so, yeah, I agree. They are showing themselves more. They are coming out of the darkness more. They are making themselves known because they they really do need our help. Like humans have we could do something more to save the environmental impacts of our world. And I think that they're going to keep showing themselves to us to try to get us to pay attention,
I do too. So we need
especially
that
spiritual
book. We
people.
need that
Yeah. Yeah.
because we need our planet and the heretic book. We need more of that too. We need
Yes.
that crazy, crazy time.
Yes, for sure.
So you again, you have you're a reader, you do
Yeah.
work with people, you actually have your own milk and honey. What is that?
Yeah. Yeah, I have a little witchy shop in Sebastopol, California called Milk and Honey. I'm here right now. Yeah, and so we sell spiritual supplies and candles, jewelry, crystals, herbs, all of that fun stuff. And we also have a reading room where there's several different readers that are here that offer tarot readings, and I do tarot readings both on Zoom and on the phone and here at the shop. So yeah, that's something that I've been doing for a long time. I love tarot reading. It's such a magical connection with another human, and to just be able to connect with someone on a spiritual level and have the cards give us like a map of what we should be focusing on is so powerful and beautiful. So yeah, I'm very blessed with the work that I get to do in the world. Very, very
It's
blessed.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we go, this is just great. You guys go buy all the books. But before we go there, then we'll get to how to find you. If as we're stepping into a new year, it's still January, you have a new book out. We know
Yeah.
times are crazy. Times have always been crazy, but they're really extra crazy right now.
Yeah.
Any words of wisdom? You again, it could be from just your thoughts. It doesn't have to be from your new book. What is
Yeah.
something that we could grab onto and going, okay, to empower us, to help
Yeah.
us, to guide us?
I really do believe at my core that connection is the answer. And that's connection to our community, that's connection to the world around us, that's connection to the beauty that exists. And so, in a lot of the classes I teach and with my clients, I really encourage people to find that connection. And that could be something as simple as feeling your breath taken over by a gorgeous sunset, or feeling the magic of a beautiful scene out in front of you, or hearing a toddler laughing and how like heart cracking that is, or smelling a freaking rose when you're on a walk. You know what I mean? We have all of these opportunities to connect. And it's those tiny, simple things that are going to help us remember that this world is beautiful and worth saving. And those levels of connection are magical. They're so important and vital to our practices.
Thank you. Words of wisdom indeed, and great to set into this year. So
Yes.
before we go, if people tell people where they can find you, where they can find your books, how to connect with you on social media, because you guys should do it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm Phoenix LeFae on all the things, and it's Lefae. It's a little bit tricky, but all the social medias. That's how you can find me. My books are out there in the world. Most bookstores you can find them. The giant online corporation that I won't mention, you can definitely get them there. You can get them through Llewellyn, the publishing house, directly, and you can get them from my shop too, Milk and Honey. I do online orders as well. So if you want to support a small business, feel free to send your order directly to me. And we're always doing fun stuff at the shop. So if you are in Northern California, check us out. We do Witchy Wednesdays every third Wednesday of the month, which is just a free gathering to meet like-minded people and go get connected.
How fun. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Phoenix. We will have you back
Yeah.
again. Write another book. Go and you guys check out the spirit around you. So thank you so much for bringing your magic and your spirit, spirit of Phoenix, to the witching hour.
Thanks, Patty.